On October 12th, 2024, I saw two films that made me fall in love with film all over again. That being Transformers 1 and The Wild Robot. So we're going to talk about them. We're going to discuss in spoilers because there's a whole lot to unpack here why I love these films and just what they did to make me more hungry to become a filmmaker, make that drive more strong to become a filmmaker. So, let's start with Transformers 1, directed by Josh Cooley, who previously directed Toy Story 4, his feature directorial debut, a film that I still really like. So, let me talk about my history with Transformers first. So, as a kid, I saw a few episodes of the G1 cartoon. I thought it was cool. There are robots that can turn into cars and tanks and helicopters and whatnot. Who wouldn't like that as a kid? I saw the G1 movie. I thought it was cool. And then I watched the live action films, and I love all of them, even though there are some bad ones. And even the better ones aren't like great films. They're just really enjoyable and entertaining. So when I heard that there was a film called Transformers 1 being made like years ago, like a decade ago, this film was, it was being talked about being made because Michael Bay wanted a bunch of Transformers films made and Paramount wanted a bunch of Transformers films made. So it was weird that there was one called Transformers 1 because there are two Transformers 1. The animated 1980s and the live action 2007. But with this film, I think I'm comfortable saying this is the best Transformers film because there's no stupid human subplots. It's solely focused on the Transformers, and there is a devastating and bittersweet story with this film. Let's talk about the plot real quick. I'm gonna do a very surface level plot because I've been trying to make this video all night and I couldn't because I keep going off on tangents. So let's focus on the plot. There are two Transformers who are miners. They mine for Energon. These Transformers are Orion Pax and D16. They later become Optimus Prime and Megatron. Because they're Transformers who can't transform, they have this thing in their chest called a cog. They don't have cogs, these Transformers, so they're demoted to being miners. So they can mine for Energon, being their life force, because in the past the Matrix of Leadership was lost in the war between the Transformers and the Quintessence, an alien race. The Matrix of Leadership is gone, so Sentinel Prime and his crew, his Transformers who can't transform, they go to the surface to look for the Matrix of Leadership, while they look to the Transformers who can't transform to mine for Energon. D16 and Orion Pax stumble upon coordinates sent from the Primes, that being an old band of Transformers called the Primes, the best Transformers basically, who were all lost in the war except for Sentinel Prime. They end up finding a set of coordinates sent from one of them that can hopefully lead them to the Matrix of Leadership. So, Orion Pax D16, B127, that being Bumblebee, and Alita 1 end up going on a journey to look for it, but they find out that there are some devastating secrets about the Matrix of Leadership and the past war. So, that is the surface level plot of this film. Let me talk about a few things that I liked about this film before I get into more of the story aspects. I think this film looks absolutely incredible. The animation done by ILM, I think, Industrial Lights Magic. They did the special effects for all the live action films except for Rise of the Beasts. But with this film, oh my god, it looks stunning. All the mining Transformers, they're scratched up. They have a bunch of scratches on them, and it's very detailed. Not just in the character models and the character designs, but the environments as well. The city that they all live in, the buildings, they look so shiny, but you can still see all the buffs and scratches on them. The environments in this film are incredible. The surface world, when they end up going up there, it looks stunning. And it's just a very colorful film. Even when they're in more dark environments, you can still see so much detail in the animation. Not just in character design and movements, but the environment. It's just an absolutely incredible looking film. And I can't commend the look of this film enough. all the animators who worked on this film, incredible, absolutely incredible work. The score by Brian Tyler, I really liked. I want to listen to it again just to be sure, but there are some great sequences, especially at the end of the film, that I thought was incredible. And Brian Tyler's a very underrated composer in my eyes. He's done a lot of scores that I really liked. The Power Rangers score 2017. I like his score for Iron Man 3. He does the music, I think, for Yellowstone. He's a pretty good composer who gets a lot of work. I like the voice acting in this film a lot. It has a star-studded cast. Chris Hemsworth is Orion Pax. Brian Tyree Henry, he is D16. Scarlett Johansson is Alita 1. Keegan Michael Key is Bumblebee B127. Lawrence Fishburne, Steve Buscemi, John Hamm, just a lot of great, talent in this. And it doesn't seem like, oh, they're a big name, so just throw them in there and the people will go see it. The only one who I kind of felt like that was with Scarlett Johansson and Chris Hemsworth. But I think a lot of people forget that Scarlett Johansson, even though she is in animated films like Sing, and those Illumination films are just, oh, let's throw all these stars in there and everyone will see it anyways, whatever. But she's a great voice actress, especially because of her. But Chris Hemsworth was a strange one to see, and a lot of people I think were upset that he was Optimus Prime and not Peter Cullen. But Peter Cullen's getting old in age, and I'm sure he doesn't want to do it anymore. But I think everyone did a great job. There's not a single performance that stood out as like bad or even okay. Everyone did a great job. And Steve Buscemi, that was very surprising to see him play Starscream. That sequence got spoiled for me like before I saw the film, and I was kind of upset at it. But Steve Buscemi being Starscream is something I didn't know I needed. He fits the role really well. And I like that they give a reason for why he ends up sounding like how he does in the G1 cartoon. It's really funny. But I'd love this. I need more of these so I can see more Steve Buscemi Starscream. But I think the best performance in this film is obviously Brian Tyree Henry as D16 Megatron. There's a lot of depth in his voice. There's a lot of great sequences of him like questioning everything about their life that they've been lied to about, and his eventual transformation into Megatron. You can hear it in his voice throughout the film. The progression of him just going down this darker path of wanting revenge and eventually becoming Megatron. It's a great voice performance, and if the Oscars ever made a best voice performance award, that right there, he was stunning in this film. He's the best performance. That's kind of all I wanted to say about like the technical aspects of the film. I talk about the score, I talk about the lighting, the look of this film. Well, let's just talk about the directing from Josh Cooley. There's a lot of great looking moments in this film, not just the look of the film, the animation and the lighting, but there's a lot of great framing and editing sequences, especially at the end of the film. And I'm gonna get to that right now. There's a sequence at the end of the film where actually, before we get to that, I gotta talk about the spoiler stuff in the plot. So I'll get to that ending sequence later. So spoilers for Transformers 1. The reason why the Matrix of Leadership was lost was because during the war between the Transformers and the Quintessons in the past, Sentinel Prime sold out all of the Primes. The Primes thought there was going to be like a truce or something between them and the Quintessons, but it turns out it was an ambush. And Sentinel Prime basically killed all of the Primes so he could be the sole leader of all of Cybertron. And so he tried to take control of the Matrix of Leadership, but it disappeared. It only goes to those who are worthy, basically. Those who put others in before them, that saying. They put others before them. So without the Matrix of Leadership, the Energon, their life source, can't flow throughout the planet. So That's why they have to mine for it. But he's selling all the Energon. Sentinel Prime is selling the Energon to the Quintessence so that he can stay leader. And there's not really a reason given why that the Quintessence want the Energon. And it just kind of makes them seem like they're just the bad guys over there. They don't have a whole lot to do with the main plot, that being between Orion Pax and D16 and how they become Optimus Prime and Megatron. But it does provide a lot of great drama between the characters. And it's like an anti-authoritarian film. All the characters have to rise up. They need to, overthrow Sentinel Prime, but Orion and D16 want to go about it in different ways. D16 wants to kill Sentinel, but Orion doesn't want that. He says you can't be like him. You can't fall down his path. We need to do it differently. And it's that bond and that conflict, it's the heart of the film. And it's what makes the ending so damn impactful. So anyways, more on to the plot stuff. Orion Pax and D16 are miners. They have to mine for Energon, but Orion Pax gets into a lot of trouble. He goes through a bunch of archives trying to figure out leads on where the matrix of leadership could be, because he wants to find it, and he wants to do so because if Energon flows, they don't have to be miners, and they don't have to work for other people. They can do what they want to do with their lives, and that's a big part of the film, making your destiny. As the film goes on, there's this event where a bunch of Transformers race. They do a big racing competition. So Orion Pax and D16, they end up getting a good view of the race, but it was all a setup so that Orion Pax could get them in the race by just flying jetpacks throughout and climbing on the other Transformers as they ride throughout the racetrack. And all the miners are so excited by it that their work productivity goes up 150%. And as Sentinel Prime is talking to them like, oh, I'm going to give you guys a special treat, yada, yada, they end up getting sent down to like sub-level 50, that being like there's like different sections of work, and they get sent down to the very bottom so they can just go through garbage, basically, for the rest of their lives. And they're just going to be told that like they died or whatever. So they end up finding Bumblebee down there, B-27, Bumblebee. And this is where more of the comedy in the film starts to come out. There were some pretty funny jokes before, but now here comes a lot of the hit or miss moments. And I get it, it's for the kids. Those comedy moments are for the kids so they can laugh at him going, I'm Badassatron. And for the most part, I did laugh at the Bumblebee jokes. I did laugh more than I didn't laugh throughout this film. I will say that. But there are definitely a lot of misses when it comes to the comedy. He talks a lot. And because he talked a lot, I thought they were going to do a moment where they basically like rip out his voice box or something so he can't talk, so they can sort of, if they wanted to, transition to the live action stuff, because a lot of people know Bumblebee as not talking, or a lot of like mainstream people, because in the cartoons and stuff he did talk, but because Transformers 2007, they needed that more alien life like appearance for Bumblebee, for the Transformers in general. So when he first meets Sam, he can't talk. He has to talk through radio. But in this film, he talks. So I'm kind of glad they didn't do that, because I like to hear Bumblebee talk and be excited about everything around him, because he's a pretty funny character. But it's when they're down in the trash chute that Bumblebee has a bunch of imaginary friends, and they're just like robots in place that are broken and stuff, made by garbage. But one of them has a message, like a small robotic message piece sent out from one of the primes saying, hey, we're in trouble, come to this location, we're for backup. So it's down there that Orion and D16 go, oh shit, we could use these coordinates to find the matrix of leadership, hopefully. So as they go, they end up accidentally getting Alita taken with them. Alita was like their shift manager for mining, but she got demoted because Orion and D16 were trying to save Jazz when he almost died in the mines. So it goes to show like that's a good setup for like the courage that these two characters have and how they want to look out for others, especially Orion Pax. But Alita got demoted, but they're on this train and it gets sent up. They're on this train with a bunch of hazardous waste apparently, and it gets sent up to the surface. But the train crashes, so they have to end up trying to find the matrix of leadership by walking and not taking the train. Yada yada. Uh, they end up finding a cave, and it turns out that it has all the dead bodies of the primes. It also turns out that one of them is still kind of functional. They give him some energon, and he explains that Sentinel Prime sold out the primes and had them all killed, basically, so that he could live like a king, and so that he could basically end the war between the Quintessence and the Transformers. But by doing so, he killed all of the primes and lost the matrix of leadership because he can't control it, because it only goes to those who are worthy. So, with this revelation, Orion Pax and D16 have some beef with each other now. And this is where like a weird moment comes in for the film, because D16 is all like, this is what happens when you go out of line, because D16 just wanted to mine. Orion Pax wanted to be his own person. That's why they're on this journey. There's a weird moment where he says, this is why you don't step out of line. This is why you just, follow orders and yada yada. But then he goes, oh, I'm going to kill Sentinel Prime. Because, he lied to us our whole time. He lied to us for our whole lives. We don't have cogs. They stole our cogs from us, so we can't transform. That's how they look down upon us. That's how they put us down. And that's why we're minors. It's just that weird moment of him going, this is why you don't get out of line. This is why you do what you're told. That it's just that weird. It just doesn't seem all that right there for me. But it's such a quick moment. But anyways, they get cogs. They end up fighting more Transformers, and this is what starts the rift between Orion and D16. D16 starts to take the lead on this journey. His eyes, the progression of his eyes throughout the film becomes more red. They're like orange at the beginning, and then they become more and more towards red. And it's at the final moment, that I'll get to later, where they fully become red. So he starts going down this more dark path. He's becoming more aggressive. Also, they end up getting these cogs so they can transform. Orion, D16, Alita, and Bumblebee. And there's a funny sequence where they have to learn how to transform while running away from the enemies. And I'm honestly glad it's there, because it feels more natural that they're struggling to transform and not that they can just do it automatically. So I'm glad that moment was there. It brings a lot of fun into the film, especially when there already was an exciting action scene paired up with it. And then it gives them more of that G1 look. They're transitioning to their G1 looks, or that being Orion and D16, becoming their Optimus Prime and Megatron looks. And once they do become fully the G1 character designs, it's beautiful. So anyways, they end up getting kidnapped by the High Guard, I think they're called. It's just Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave. They look incredible. They're funny. There's a really funny moment there where they question why Bumblebee is gagged, and they said that he wouldn't shut up even when he was unconscious. And it was just funny to see, especially like Shockwave freaking out because he's supposed to be a little more level-headed, I think. It was just really funny to see. But hearing Steve Buscemi as Starscream was really cool to see. And then this is when D16 has another moment of going down this darker path, because Starscream is just all like, hey, tell us when and where these trains come so we can steal the Energon, because we know Sentinel Prime sold out everyone, but we're not going to do anything about it. We're just going to sabotage getting all the Energon for ourselves. D16 stands up and says, no, I'm not going to sit by and watch you guys just watch things happen and not do anything about it. He's on a quest to kill Sentinel Prime. So he takes on Starscream, he fights him, and then while he's fighting, he's choking out Starscream, and you can hear his voice get a little more squeaky. And And then that's how he transitions to start sounding like Starscream from the G1 show. It's really funny, and I really like that it's a detail there, and I really like that's how it happens because Megatron choked him out. Um, so, anyways, um, they end up making Megatron their new leader of the High Guard, basically. Not, sorry, D16. He's not Megatron yet. Actually, let me explain why he becomes Megatron, why he's called Megatron. One of the primes is called Megatronus, or Megatronus, I think. And he is D16's favorite prime because he's the coolest, he's the most strong, he's the best, basically. Everyone calls him the best prime. And there's a moment at the beginning of the film where Orion goes, "Oh, I guess you don't want this cool sticker that I found." They have like these cards, these stickers. I wish there was more of that in the film, but it's just kind of like at the beginning. It does show, it does set up their bond with each other. It gives them a nice moment to bond with each other. So they're not just like, "Hey, we're buddies." Yeah, I know we're buddies. No, we see them being buddies rather than just saying, "Oh, we're friends." So he has a sticker that he found Orion. He's like, "Oh, I guess you don't want it." Then he puts it on his shoulder, and it looks like the Decepticon logo from G1. And it's really cool because that's what Megatronus's face looks like, I guess, when they show him later on. It's really cool. So, anyways, after beating up Starscream, D16 becomes the leader of the High Guard, but they get ambushed by Sentinel Prime and his crew because they're like, "Oh crap, we noticed people were there in the mines when we were talking to the Quintessence." So, or in the cave, sorry, not the mine, the cave. So D16, Bumblebee, and a lot of the High Guard gets kidnapped. So, or Sentinel Primes are like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you guys," and say you tried to sabotage us finding these matrix leadership so we can, put the miners down even more, and then so people can fear me more and believe whatever I say because it's my word against yours. All the while, Alita is trying to hype up Orion because Orion's like, "Oh, this is all my fault. We're all doomed." Yada yada. Alita's all like, "I'm better than you in every way except you're courageous and you're brave, and that's what's so great about you. So lead us to overthrow Sentinel Prime and start a new age of the Transformers, basically." And he has a great moment of being like, "Hey, I'm you guys' leader, and I'm gonna get us through this because it's all of us. We're more than meets the eye. We're more than just miners. We got to show that to them." But when he gets back to the Cybertron city and he's talking to all of the miners, he just brings up the fact that all their cogs were stolen. He doesn't say like, "Oh yeah, Sentinel lied to us and he killed all of the primes and he's selling all of our energon to them." No, it's just, "Oh, they stole our cogs from us, so we gotta fight to get it back." I do feel like that was a missed opportunity. It was probably something just overlooked, but I wish there was at least a moment where he's like, "Oh, I can't say this to them just yet." Um, but it does make that speech just a little less impactful upon thinking back on it because it's just, "Hey, they stole our cogs." Not, "Hey, he fucking lied to us, killed all the primes, and is selling our energon, the energon that we work so hard to mine. He's selling it to the bad guys, basically." So I felt like that was like a missed opportunity, a big missed opportunity to have that scene be much more impactful. But it is in that moment where Chris Hemsworth's voice performance starts to sound more like Peter Cullen's Optimus Prime. And it's that transition to those G1 characters that becomes the best part of the film for me. So, anyways, there's a cool action sequence where everyone's fighting. They go to the rescue of D16 and Bumblebee. They're fighting Sentinel Prime, and then they do the reveal, that, "Oh, we show the footage from before to or we show the footage or the footage from before to all the characters in the film to show like, hey, he's the bad guy after all." Because there's this character who I can't remember, but she's kind of like spider-like. She works for Sentinel Prime. She transforms into like this cool drone helicopter thing. She has eyes all around her. So they use her to they hook up all of her eyes and the footage that she has basically of Sentinel Prime doing all this bad stuff. They show it to all the monitors, to all the citizens, all the miners and Transformers. And then they start to revolt. But It's at this moment where D16 finally has Sentinel Prime taken out. So while while Orion Pax is showing everyone or getting all that footage sent out, D16 is battling D16 is battling Sentinel Prime, and he's about to kill him. But Orion says, "Hey, we can't." Orion comes back. He says, "We can't kill him. We can't kill him yet. Or no, we can't kill him. Don't be like him." They have a little scuffle, and then he's going to kill Sentinel Prime. Then Orion gets in the way. This is the best part of the film right here. He's gonna kill Orion. He's gonna kill Sentinel Prime because he lied to us. He used us our entire lives for his benefit. So I'm going to take control of my life, like you said we should always do, and I'm going to become who I want to be. That being, I'm going to destroy the age of the primes and start a new age through my rule, through my view, where no one bows to anyone. So he's going to kill Sentinel Prime. Also, I forgot to mention earlier when he was fighting Starscream, this is what truly sent him down this dark road. Because they have cogs, they can transform into new beings. So they morph into new beings. Their armor and their body changes. So while he's fighting Starscream, he's going to kill him, but his arm becomes his cannon for his tank. But he stops himself. So it's at this moment, when he's fighting Sentinel Prime, that his cannon comes out. He's gonna kill Sentinel Prime, but Optimus Prime stands in the way. He says, "No, don't." Then he shoots Optimus. Like, his whole left side is just all destroyed. And then Optimus Prime is gonna fall off of this cliff into the depths of the planet. D16 catches him off of the cliff. He goes, "Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that?" But then he thinks, you can know that he's thinking in his head, like, "Oh my God, he got in my way because he doesn't want me to do this." But at the same time, I'd had to save him throughout this entire film. He stood in my way, and now he's standing in my way from what I really want. And then he tilts his head down, and when he tilts his head up, his eyes become fully red, and he goes, "I'm done saving you," or "I'm not saving you anymore," and he drops him. And then it's just this beautiful moment of Orion Pax falling through the planet to the core of the planet, and D16 killing Sentinel Prime. It is the death of Orion Pax and the metaphorical death of D16, and it becomes the birth of Optimus Prime and Megatron. The music's great. There's a little bit of slow motion where D16 he fights off some of the guards of Sentinel Prime. He picks up Sentinel Prime, and this is when it really becomes like I did not expect. I audibly said, "Holy shit." He picks up Sentinel Prime and just rips his body in half, and it's framed in a way so that when he rips his body, the body's in the frame of the camera, and when he rips the body, see all the cords and electricity and stuff being pulled apart. It's Megatron's face right there as he rips it apart. His face is revealed underneath the ripping of the body. Then it cuts to a beautiful wide of just him like this with the body, and then when he throws it down, Sentinel's body's dead, and Orion Pax is falling through the Cybertron, and he hits the core. It is then at this moment where the dead body of Orion Pax is saved by the souls of the primes in the core. They say, "Hey, you showed yourself to be worthy by putting others before yourself, for the greater good of all of Cybertron. So we're going to reward you with the Matrix of Leadership, and you will become Optimus Prime." So he opens his eyes, and then he comes up from the surface looking like G1 Optimus Prime, and then D16 becomes G1 Megatron. They fight. They have a cool ass fight, and the Matrix of Leadership gives Optimus Prime the power to wield his axe. He's fighting off all the enemies. Megatron says we're gonna start the new age. We're gonna kill the age of primes. Let's take it. Let's tear everything down. B-127 and Bumblebee and Alita are fighting Megatron. Optimus Prime comes to the rescue. He fights them all, and then he kicks ass, stops Megatron, and he goes, "You're banished from the city. So take the high guard and leave." And it's at that moment where I at least thought they could have taken it a little differently, where instead of just saying, "Hey, you're just outright banished," he could have said, "Hey, stop your evil ways now and join me, please. Your last chance," or something. I wish he could have said something like that at least, rather than just like, "Hey, you're banished," because it doesn't seem like there's that friendship, that bond that they had right there that's truly lost now. I wish there was something like that at least, rather than just, "Hey, you're banished. Take the high guard and leave. We know you're gonna come back eventually," or something, yada yada. But anyways, with the Matrix of Leadership, Energon can finally flow through Cybertron, so no one has to mine anymore. He dubs everyone the Autobots. He sends a message to the Quintessence and say, "If you come back, we're gonna fuck you up." And then a post-credit scene, Megatron, he has the Megatronus sticker that was on him. Oh yeah, Sentinel basically like burned it into his chest. He's like, "Oh, since you like it so much, I'm gonna fucking burn it on your chest so everyone can see." And then he says, "Oh yeah, I stole Megatronus's cog." So Megatron ends up stealing that cog, and that's what morphs him to become looking like G1 Megatron. So that's I really wanted to get to that ending because I think that ending was so beautiful. The music was great, the visuals were great, the editing was perfect, and my jaw was dropped. I was like, I can't believe I'm watching this as a Transformers that's so thematically beautiful. So yeah, at the end of the film, it's post-credit scene. Megatron is etching that Decepticon logo, that being the Megatronus face sticker thing. He's etching it into all the Decepticons. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna fuck them up. Basically, we're the Decepticons now." It looks so badass. He has his lieutenants, Soundwave, Shockwave, and Starscream looking at him. They're badass. They look so cool. Oh, it's a brief moment when you see the Megatronus, like the Decepticon logo. It becomes like that purple, because the Decepticon logo is purple. It becomes purple, the right shade of purple it is in the cartoons, and then the film ends. Mwah. Beautiful. This film was fantastic. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I was never bored. I thought the pacing was great, especially in the beginning, because we don't get to that we don't get to that conflict of the Sentinel lie and Sentinel betraying them, throwing them down the trash chute, basically. We don't get to that for a while. But it sets up these two characters so well. Their bond, them, Orion saying, "I want to become more," and D16 going, "Hey, we're just minors. No, we'll deal with it later." Or, I believe in Sentinel Prime. We all believe in Sentinel Prime. So let's just have our faith in him. There's a lot of just character building. Alita, she's their shift manager, but she's going to become promoted. But because of the recklessness of these two characters saving Jazz in the collapsing mine, she gets demoted. So there's that conflict between her and Orion. There's the cool scene of Orion talking to D16 going, "Hey, we got to join the race, because I think even if we beat one of them, it'll show everyone that we're more than just minors." There's a lot of great moments in the beginning. It's not slow, and I like in the beginning where it's the explanation of the past. Orion sneaks into some archives. He watches this broadcast, this message, just showing the backstory of the story, just setting it all up. It's very whatever, like, oh, okay, that's they showed it just like that. But I think it's a good setup, just so we don't have to explain it later on in the film, yet do all that other nonsense, yada yada. It just sets up there so we can get to the bond between Orion and D16 quicker. So I loved this film. I could go on for hours, I think, about how much I love this film. I'm going to give Transformers 1 an A minus. Now, how could I give this film an A minus, but I gave Dune 2 a B plus? I think Dune 2 is obviously the better film, but it's just because how much I enjoyed this so much. And it sucks because my grandmother passed away last year, and I didn't get to see Transformers Rise of the Beast with her. I knew she would have loved that. And this year, Transformers 1 came out, and I knew she would have loved this. I almost cried because I just knew she would have loved this, and I knew we had a great time watching it. But not only seeing a Transformers film have a deep thematic story, but just a film in general with a deep thematic story like this, which is just so refreshing to see. I loved this film. I want to watch it again so damn bad. I think it's a really damn good film. It's one of my favorites. It might possibly be my favorite film of the year. But anyways, that is Transformers 1. I really loved it. Go see it, please. There's a Transformers 1 guy on Twitter who's pushing so hard so everyone can see this film. Because it did have a pretty high budget, 75 million. It just crossed like 114 million worldwide. I don't know if it's going to make its budget back and then some, but I do think it will get its sequel. I do think it will get its trilogy, because from what I read, they kind of want to transition it to sort of lead into the live action stuff. But I honestly prefer if it's just its own thing. I think it's beautiful the way it is. But I need to see more of this Transformers. This was absolutely beautiful. It was stunning. It was incredible. It was thematically beautiful. It looked fantastic. The action scenes were all fun and imaginative and exciting. It was funny. There's a lot of heart to it, and you could just feel the love for Transformers in this. I love this film. A minus. Now let's move on to the other animated film that I saw. The other animated film that made me fall in love with film all over again. That being The Wild Robot, directed by Chris Sanders. Now, who is Chris Sanders, you ask? Chris Sanders has previously directed other animated films like The Croods, The Incredible, and one of Disney's best films of all time, Lilo and Stitch, and How to Train Your Dragon. He co-directed all of those films. He directed How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch with Dean DeBlois, it looks like. Dean DeBlois, and for The Croods, he directed it with Kirk D'Amico. He also directed The Call of the Wild. I didn't know that. I found that out the other day. I thought it was such a like a wow. Okay, I didn't expect that. I didn't see it. Heard it was okay. I'll eventually watch it. This is the 2020 version with Harrison Ford. But anyways, this looks like it is his first film he has directed by himself. He was inspired to make this film because he read the books with his child. The Wild Robot's based on a set of books, and I know nothing about the books. I didn't know anything about this going into it except for a few things I saw from TV spots, and I did my best not to watch any trailers. But the film did get greenlit for a sequel already. It's doing pretty good at the box office, 140 million, I think, worldwide. And yeah, this is the DreamWorks film, by the way. DreamWorks is the most interesting animation studio out there, I think, because they will have some bangers like Shrek, Shrek 2, and then they'll have some weird ass films like Home. They'll have bangers like Megamind and How to Train Your Dragon, and then they'll have some weird films like The Bee Movie. So they're definitely an interesting case of animation. Let's talk about The Wild Robot, though. The plot is there's a robot who crash lands on an island of a bunch of animals. Her name is Roz. She's a robot. She helps people. Her primary function is to help. So she goes around the island looking for help, or looking for things to help. And no one wants her help. They find her weird. They call her a monster. She ends up finding this little gooseling, and she ends up having to take care for it because the gooseling, needs help. It needs to learn how to fly, it needs to learn how to swim, and it needs to do so by the time it's fall, by the time it's winter, so that the gooseling can fly away with the other geese. What did I think about the wild robot? I thought it was beautiful. I definitely like Transformers One more, but I think it's on the same level of creativity and passion. Let's talk about the look of this film first. I think this film looks absolutely stunning. Roz is she looks more she looks more traditional in the sense of a 3D animated character. She looks like she's just CG. She looks smooth initially, and then you can see the wear and tear that her body takes over time as she has to endure the environment of the island. You know, the wind, the grass, the leaves, moss grows on her. She gets all scratched up, and she eventually has to get her foot replaced by a stump, like by a piece of wood. But so she looks great on her own, but the rest of the film follows a more what did they say it was like a I don't want to say watercolor, but it looks like a book illustration. The setting, the environment of the film looks like it's a an illustration in a book. Uh, Things aren't super like realistic and crisp. They have a nice sort of a book feel to it. Yeah, to give that feeling off that it's an illustration in a book. And it looks great. The character designs, it's everything outside of the robot that looks like that. And I'll say the water, like the puddles and the bodies of water, like the animals like the fox, the goose, the geese, the beavers and bears and stuff. They look more rough and more water paint illustrated like. So it looks incredible. And the trees, the grass. It's a beautiful looking film, and it's very colorful. And my favorite parts of the look of this film are when we have Roz shining all of the colors off of her as she's looking at the gooseling. Like it's beautiful. It's wow. That's what initially got me to look at this film and go, oh my god, what? Oh, this is gonna be different. This is gonna look incredible, and it does. The look of this film solely on its own is good enough of a reason to go see this film. Uh, at the end of the day, this is a family film, so there's going to be some humor, and it's a DreamWorks film. They're definitely more adult with their humor. Some of it I think might goes on just a little too long, like with the possum characters. Their humor just kind of goes on a little bit, but it's still funny at the end of the day. Uh, and it's funny to see Roz, have to sound like her robot self around all of these characters who just speak normal. It's funny. And it's funny to see that the goose character that she cares for ends up talking like her. Oh yeah, I'm spoiling this film by the way. Because initially I didn't know where this film was gonna go based on the clips and stuff. I thought it was just gonna end with, the goose is gonna fly, and then they're gonna go, oh, I don't want you to go away. Well, here's what I knew about going into the film. It's a robot on an island who has to take care of a goose. That's all I knew. I didn't want to know anything else about it, solely because the look of the film had me intrigued so damn much. But then I saw a clip about Roz saying, I'm a wild robot and yada yada. And then I saw explosions. Like, God damn it. It's going to be about like the robots having to take her back, but then they want to do something with the island or something. I was partially right. That ending sequence is just like she sends out a beacon to rescue her, but she ends up wanting to stay because she reprograms herself, so she isn't just a robot, because she has to do everything she can to take care of this goose and care for it and raise it. So she has to reprogram her writing, because a lot of this film has to do with like being a parent and that family dynamic, but more importantly being a mother. And I think that part of the film was absolutely beautiful. There's a lot about motherhood in this film, about raising your kid with the right way to do it, pushing your kid to the goal, and then having that feeling of having to let go, or having the feeling of the kid wanting to leave and then growing distant from you. Because there is something tragic about the way Roz meets the Gooseling while she's escaping from a bear, while she's looking for her beacon to get sent home. She crashes into a nest and kills a bird, and kills like an entire family of birds except the Gooseling. And the Gooseling was basically supposed to be the runt of the family, so the Gooseling has a lot more struggles to deal with because the Gooseling is smaller. The Gooseling's called Brightbill, so I'll say Brightbill. There's a lot to do with, and once that gets brought up later on, it is kind of fucked up that that's how she's taking care of the Gooseling, Brightbill. It is fucked up. They touch on it for a bit, and it's really sad. It's what drives the wedge between those two characters, and it's what makes that motherhood aspect of the film even stronger, because there's a sequence later on in the film where she ends up finding out why she's on the island. She was a part of a cargo shipment that got crashed on the island. There's a bunch of other robots like her. They're on the other Roz systems. She ends up putting one back together, and she's asking her questions like, "Hey, I need help. I can't fix this problem. How do I do it?" And the possum told her like, "Oh, being a mother's about, or being a parent, being a mother is about improvising, you know." But she can't seem to do that no matter how many times she's overriding her programs. It's a really good sequence about, her trying to figure out how to do it, because she's finding it impossible because it's so hard being a parent, more specifically being a mother. It's just I really like that aspect of the film. So I want to get more into the pacing of the film. I really thought the film was just going to end with the duck's going to learn to fly, and then, the duck's going to fly, and then Roz is going to be there like, "Oh, I'm sad because you left, but we both know that we both love each other." And then they come back at the end and it's all hunky-dory. It's not exactly like that. We get to the aging of the duck pretty quickly. They have like maybe 20 minutes of being together as a gooseling. I said duckling earlier. As a gooseling, and then all of a sudden, Bright Bill is aged up and finally learning to swim. But they had moments together. Oh, also there's this fox character called Fink, I think, voiced by Pedro Pascal. Also, Lupita Nyong'o, a really damn good actress, is the voice of Roz. She's really damn good in this film. But Pedro Pascal is Fink. He's a really fun character, and there's a lot of stuff to unpack about him because he's sneaky. He's a fox, but he wants to stick by with Roz and Bright Bill because he's never had a family before, and he really likes the feeling of that dynamic. And so that's a fun character to have. It's a fun character. Adds a lot of heart and depth to the film because he really wants a family, and he's bringing Roz out of her shell. Like, hey, I want to be around here. Back to the pacing of the film, though. Nothing ever feels like it's cliche. Like, of course, there's that dynamic of the characters having the beef with each other, but it's not like, "Oh, you lied to me," or like, "Oh, here's the part where we separate and we're mad at each other and then we come back." They're not mad at each other. Things are just awkward between Roz and Bright Bill because of how she revealed what happened to Bright Bill's family. And he is kind of resentful towards her, but he's still accepting her help to learn to fly. Because if he doesn't fly, he's going to be stuck on the island for winter and die, basically. So I do appreciate that it wasn't like, "Oh, I'm leaving and I'm mad." It's just, I'm leaving and things are awkward, because that's what happens in parenthood, I think. I've never had like moments like that with my family. I was never like pissed off at them. I never went through like a rebellious phase as a teenager or something. But I'm sure it's going to be an aspect that a lot of parents and children can appreciate. It's, hey, we're not mad. We just have an awkward moment with each other. and I'm leaving, but we have these feelings for each other that are hard to describe towards each other because we don't know how to say it. And it's an aspect I really loved about the film, that parenthood, motherhood aspect of the film. There's a sequence of the Roz robot trying to, or the Roz robot about to be taken away by the company that made her. A lot of the film is about being where you belong. Roz wants the gooseling to be where he belongs, with that being with the other geese. But they're like, hey, you're dumb because you're the runt. And Roz, you know, her instincts and her programming is saying that's where he belongs, but she doesn't want him to leave because she really likes him as like she's his mother basically. She overrides her programs to feel like the mother. And she keeps saying, I have to go where I belong, that being with the other robots, because I belong there, because I'm a monster here. They call me a monster. But she finds out that the once the company comes to take her back, once her beacon finally gets sent out, she stops it though because she has to save all the animals from the winter with the help of Fink. But once the robots finally come to pick her up, it's a squid like looking robot design, and she's all like, hey, we noticed that you've been very busy out here and you're not quite who you're supposed to be, so we're gonna basically take all of your memories from you. And you really find out that Roz is, her own person, like Short Circuit. The robot has its own feelings, it can feel. And then it comes with this very like action packed ending that I'm on edge with. I'm like, does it really? I didn't expect there to be like the action stuff there. There's a lot of fun chase sequence moments in the beginning, but I didn't expect there to be like explosions and gunfire and stuff at the end, and then a big fire going through the whole island. I didn't expect that. It was definitely enjoyable and cool to see, but it wasn't a thing that I either wanted or thought that the film needed, because I don't know how it goes in the books, and I don't want to read the books because I want to be surprised. I think they're kids' books. Nothing wrong with them, but I'm just saying. But I I just thought it would have been like a very mature film that didn't need that stuff, but we needed some conflict at the end. So I do get it. I just thought the conflict would have just been talking it out, not all this action stuff, which I didn't mind. I enjoyed it. I just didn't expect it. But we find out that Roz, has her memories taken away, but there's a different part of her soul, basically, in her body. And she ends up having to leave. She says, hey, the robots are going to come back here eventually. They're going to find me, and I don't want them to hurt you. So I have to go where I belong. And they don't want to be where they belong. They want to be with each other. And it's those sweet moments there that really make this film stand out. And it was kind of hard to see because you like these characters and you like their bond with each other, but they have to leave. But Roz, she promises that she'll never forget Bright Bill, even if all of her memories are taken from her. And at the end of the film, when when the geese are on their migration again, oh yeah, they left on the migration and somewhere in the middle of the film, and they end up flying into. We end up seeing because I guess it takes place in the future where like San Francisco's flooded because the bridges are covered in water, and humanity relies on these robots in these domed societies. It looks like, and the geese end up having to go into the dome society area to find cover, but they end up finding the robots, and the robots go, oh shit, there's geese, we gotta kill them, or we gotta get rid of them. So when on their migration, they end up landing in there, and Bright Bill finds one of the robots, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking for Roz," and it turns out it is her. It's a sweet moment at the end. It's just a really cute moment. And just overall, it's just a really cute, charming, beautiful film. And one of my favorite sequences actually is the sequence of Bright Bill learning to fly from this hawk. And I like the song. I don't know if it's an original song meant for the film, but I do like the song that was made. That was the soundtrack basically for it. That soundtrack song, I do like it. It fits well with the Gosling, the Goosling learning to fly, learning to endure, and Roz helping out. It's just really cute, and the film is just really cute. It's really sweet, and I totally understand all the praise it's getting. It's being very much praised by critics and fans everywhere from what I see. And on Letterboxd, it's part of the top 250, that top 250 list. So I'm really glad it's there because it is such a unique film, mainly because of the look. It's such a damn good looking film, but overall, it is just a really sweet, charming, endearing, fun movie. And I'm giving The Wild Robot an A-. I do like Transformers 1 better, but oh, I really love this movie. I just felt comfortable, and it was such a damn good, sweet film that I'm sure everyone is enjoying right now. So, those are my thoughts on Transformers 1 and The Wild Robot. This is going to be a long video. I don't know how long it is right now, but I just wanted to... Actually, I needed to talk about these films. I haven't done movie reviews in a while, but these two films were... I needed to talk about them. I needed to say how much I enjoyed them and what I enjoyed about them. Because I'm finding it harder to do these reviews. I'm finding it harder to find the time and the passion to do it. But these two films definitely did it for me. I fucking love these two movies. I really want to watch them again. So damn bad, especially Transformers 1. So those are my thoughts on those films. I really went in depth on them, especially Transformers 1. What did you think about Transformers 1 or The Wild Robot? Did you like them? Did you really like them? Did you love them like I did? Tell me what you thought about it in the comments below. And I'll be back with more enjoyable content like this. So, yeah. Bye.